Welcome back, Star people. Welcome back to Star Quality, a newsletter and podcast by me, your astrologer, Stevie Goldstein. And okay, full moon time, full moon in Taurus. Taurus people rise up. It has been a wild ass year to say the least. So I'm going to be going over today's full moon chart. We have a full moon in Taurus that's happening today. That is November 15th, 2024 at 1:28 p.m. Pacific time here in Los Angeles. Adjust for your time zone. I will be sharing the chart in just a moment. So if you are listening not just on audio, that's all good. I'm going to explain everything. But if you would like to watch on video, you can head over to my Substack, which is where I'm hosting all this stuff. That's the platform for my publication, and that's starquality.substack.com. Or you can watch on YouTube, whatever. When whatever gets you there, baby. Yeah. If you don't know, if it's your first time here, welcome. Star Quality is my publication for all things forecast, astrology deep dives, pop culture, all of that. And we're back with Illumination. First full moon post election here, presidential election here in the United States. I'm sure will come up. But yeah, just addressing the kind of vibe we're in right now. It's sort of weird times. Um, a lot of uncertainty, even though, of course, we're going back to someone who has served in the past. It's in a totally new way. And after so many events that has taken place. So who freaking knows? It feels yeah, there's a lot that feels really uncertain. But one thing that is certain is that the stars keep on moving and they're actually very fairly predictable. We know where they're going to go, and not to say that that means everything in this life societally or for us personally is fated as such, like that's it, you don't get any choice. We have choice that can change how things go along the way, but we can also see that a lot of these things feel really on time. Okay, maybe I will talk about it for a little in the beginning. I think a lot of people know, especially since Pluto is going to fully, for the next, 15 years, move into Aquarius on the 19th. We knew we were in an era change. We were hoping it'd be a little more positive and a little more inclusive. And I do think that that will come when the resistance against hate gets more amplified. And I'm not rooting for things to just totally collapse, but I know that the only way to actually see progressive change is maybe to have a total collapse. So, anyways, I don't mean to fearmonger or doom any doom. I, like doom, what is that going to really do? Because we do have to continue with our lives, and we should, because life is beautiful and we have a lot to be grateful for. And if you're here, you have community, period. Even if you're like, wait, I don't comment or I don't interact, like that's okay. You can just be, you don't have to. If you would like to interact, I love that. If you leave comments on the post, we can have a conversation, but you're welcome here. And this is your community if you would like to be in community with me. So I am, shout out to the astrology community, because I think while of course there can be that doomy, astralization of current events, I don't know. I understand a lot of people who also help contextualize it, the light at the end of the tunnel that will eventually come to. And with this Taurus full moon, I don't know if it's necessarily light at the end of the tunnel, but it's definitely an acknowledgement that whatever you thought was happening is not. And I, of course, relate that to politics, but I think this is just also with like life in general, with various industries, whatever. I'll share this in a second, but before I do, let me do a little more housekeeping. If you would like to support this publication, you can join my third space. As I mentioned before, if you're here, you're in community with me, and I do have an option for you to pay the love back. And that is a paid monthly subscription. It's $7.77 a month. So basically, buy me an iced latte where I can tip the barista $1, because that's how much things are right now. Maybe that collapse and fight back will change some things. We'll see. But for $7.77 a month, you can help me keep a lot of posts free. You can help me make even more. The more that I have support from the listeners and subscribers, and the more I can do this. So it greatly helps in terms of all my equipment and the time researching and just like feeling the love back because this I love doing this for you guys and I love doing it for myself as well. And I just appreciate anyone who's in my star quality universe. So if you'd like, you can upgrade your subscription. You can also do a 7-day free trial. All of that is in the show notes. So love to see you here. The first half of this episode is going to be free. The second half will hit a paywall. So you'll know when that's coming. But I always will always have something, there'll always be free available stuff for you guys. And then, the folks who support get some little extras. So it's my token of appreciation. And then also, it's a place to hang out, chat, like let me know. I want to hear from y'all too. Like I'm an 11th house sun. The 11th house is community. And I think of this as like a group art project, even though it's like I'm a solo person doing this. Like I would like to converse and communicate and incorporate y'all find people listening. Okay, so let me pull up the chart here for our full moon chart. And again, this full moon is taking place November 15th, 2024 at 1:28 p.m. Pacific time here in Los Angeles. Again, adjust for your time zone. Okay, let me pull this up. Okay, let's take a look at the chart for the full moon. A reminder, full moons are when the moon is opposite the sun. So every full moon in Scorpio season is going to be a Taurus full moon because they are opposite signs. They are the polarities. When they're in opposition, Scorpio is always going to be in opposition to Taurus. Um, there's a very loud character in the chat, which is Uranus is conjunct the moon. So that's quite loud in this full moon chart. And let's see, we're going to just go planet by planet and take a look at what aspects are going on here. Again, this rising sign is for the Los Angeles chart. So adjust for your time zone. It's kind of interesting to look at from like a city level, but this is not, we don't have to worry too much about the ascendant in this case because we're just going to be talking about planets, even though it is pretty interesting, at least for Los Angeles's chart, that we have the Saturn right on the rising today. But again, that's local food for thought. Um, so something maybe we should talk about first that's not going to be pictured on my chart here because it is a fixed star. And you're going to hear, you probably, if you're an astrology fan and you've been lurking around the net, you probably have heard this about a fixed star named Algol. Algol, it has been in the chat in terms of astrologer conversations for some time because it's at 26 degrees of Taurus. So it's been by Uranus for some time, or I should say Uranus has been by it because it's a fixed star. It's always at this 26 degrees of Taurus. And Algol, look, Algol is going to have bad vibes results when you look it up. It is associated. I'm just going to give like a brief sort of overview. First of all, what's a fixed star? A fixed star in astrology is a star that is always at the same point. Like it doesn't move, like tomorrow, the moon's going to be here and like Mercury will be there. Like the planets are always moving. A fixed star is always at the same position. So this one is at 26 degrees of Taurus. And for Algol, and the fixed stars just kind of, they're really fun. Like they can give kind of bonus information of what we're interested in terms of astrology. But for Algol, it's related to, let me get like all of this is like connected to mythology, but okay, this is from revolutionarymystic.com, but it's referred to as, I'm using air quotes, the demon star. No big deal. And this is a pull quote from their blog. It's just, it resides in the constellation of Perseus and is often associated with intense and transformative energies. Basically, in mythology, Algol was a guy that severed the head of Medusa. Medusa was the beautiful maiden who turned people to stone and was considered this monster. So there's also these like feminist themes that we can find with algal, right? Like, yeah, like you're gonna see a lot about beheading and violence with algal, and there is a lot of you should listen if you haven't already. This is like, you know, lecture Bible, but listening to the astrology podcast with Chris Brennan, they've definitely talked at length about algal. But when that assassination attempt happened for Trump at the rally, his midheaven sits with algal. Like he has like a 20 something degree. It's like near algal. And at that time, there was that Mars Uranus square, if I'm, or at least it was squaring his natal Mars. Anyways, there was a lot of tension going to Uranus and algal, and it was in this public visibility space for him, and it's related to beheading. So, anyways, everyone was pretty in the astrology community, like they knew there'd be something going on with him that day, but for it to be such a literal translation was really wild. So I don't want anyone, you know, and I've had some friends who have placements here, at, you know, at that 26-degree range. And I would say like within 5 degrees is pretty, I would consider that pretty in conjunction with algal. But like, I don't know. I don't like anyone to be like, oh my God, great. I was born on the wrong day or like I'm cursed or whatever. I think it's just something to know that possibly if you have planets in this 26-degree Taurus range, that there could be maybe a demonize back to the demon star, a demonization of self. You know, I think looking at, you know, algal cutting off the head of this woman that was seen as evil, right? And then we go back to a lot of mythology and it's like, well, what constitutes evil? Like what maybe they were onto something. Again, I'm no mythology expert. So and I'm kind of just doing the cliff notes or whatever. But I think what I can say about this full moon at algal, where we've had so much action, Uranus has been like just scratching at this fixed star this for so long. And we have to face our fears and we can't just thoughts and prayers, pray away. You know, I think also too, just because it's so fresh off the election, you know, I hear a lot of people like, I'm afraid. And then they're like comfortably in their homes on their devices, watching TV and microwaving some food. So like the context, the context, my guys, is, you know, it's like, are you only going to be afraid once the food's out of your hands or, you know, you're kicked out of your home or XYZ? And I think that that was a really big, um, that it's still a big critique about like especially white people and our responsibility in terms of politics and not only caring when it's every 4 years and it's the presidential election. Because I can't remember, I saw some like activist person post about this. um I believe she was from like South Asian descent and was talking about just like white people and their fear of Trump. And it's because they're, if anyone, oh my God, I'm like full of like non-quote quotes today. So like, you know, let me live. We're coming up on Mercury retrograde. I'll talk about that in a sec. But it's like this idea that there's only this fear of Trump because the fear is that you'll be treated how most people in our country are treated on a regular basis. And I think that's something to think about and consider like, where's that fear coming from? Because a lot of people have been existing in this fear since they're born or for decades and decades, or where depending on like the context of who they are and the situation they live in. So I think if your fear is just that you're going to be treated like shit when everyone else has already been treated like shit, like there's just a little check yourself. There's a little algal check yourself. And I think we all should be checking ourselves a bit in this astrological time. Okay, that's my algal rant, but you'll definitely hear about it if you're interested in fixed stars or like a fascinating area to go study or get deeper into if you'd like. But so this moon is conjunct Uranus. Of course, it's in opposition to the sun because that's full moons. And then the moon and Uranus are also getting love from Neptune and Pluto. So all the outer planets. Let me see if there's anything else I should know. We'll get into their own individuality in a moment. But just thinking of it from a moon Uranus energy. Yeah, that's it. They're getting love. Uranus. So this is how it goes. Back in the day, in ancient astrology, we only had the planets up till Saturn because that's the only ones we could see with our eyes. So we had the luminaries, the sun and moon, we'll call them planets for this: sun and moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, personal planets, Jupiter, Saturn, social planets. Then we got telescopes that are higher powered, and we could be like, oh shit, there's more shit out here. And the first one discovered was Uranus, which is very funny and connected to Uranus in general because Uranus is a disruptor, and it's so Uranian to be like, haha, there's actually one more and it's me, haha. And actually, there's two more guys, just keep looking. So then we had Uranus, then Neptune, and then the last one, Pluto. Now, don't don't get me started on the like Pluto's been downgraded as a planet. Whatever. We're still using it in astrology. Also look into that day. Like a lot of scientists like already left that day and they did this vote and everyone it was like really contentious. Okay. I know too much. I know too much about all this. So all the outer planets, all the guys who were discovered last, if we personify these guys, they're all like Neptune is giving a sextile, which is a positive aspect, and Pluto is giving a trine, and even more positive aspect to the moon in Uranus. This, in a zoomed out way, having all the outer guys at this time of great change say yes is like quite. There's such a like jumbo permission slip of to sort of get ready for that new reality, and also in that moon Uranus sort of way too. Taurus is connected to our throat chakra. It is connected to Venus, which can be connected to our finances, our relationships, the things that we care about. And I do think that Taurus, with the moon, with the subconscious feeling space, getting influenced by Uranus, which is like, yo, we can change this up with Algol here. That's like, we could burn this down. I think on a personal level, for folks listening, especially if you have planets that are really getting impacted by this full moon chart, that you don't have to just keep doing everything like you've been doing it. If there's like a dream that felt really wild, it's like not that wild to do it right now because so much is in shift. I've even seen, and it feels really connected to this too. Oh my God. Like synapses are clicking right now. I don't know about you. I'm 35. I also want to have kids one day. That date keeps pushing because of a lot of factors, because like climate, because of finances, because of housing, politics. I mean, guns are the number one killer of children in the United States. I think maybe globally, but for sure in the United States. Like, what the fuck? And I also shout out to anyone who's a parent because, like, I'm not saying don't do it. It's just these are the factors that slow me down. And I think, too, for a lot of people who are maybe grieving their life plans, like, I thought I'd own a house by now. I thought I would have kids by now. I thought I would do any of these things. I thought I'd be married. I thought this is what happened. Um, I think that this is just a reminder that you can keeping waiting for a dream that maybe you don't even really have right now. It might not be the best space for your energy. And maybe I'm slightly saying this to myself, and maybe this can help. If this message resonates for you, claim it. But I think too, I've had to grieve this timeline and this plan and this Taurus, very Venusian, like I'm gonna have this and I'm gonna do that, and this is how it's gonna all align. And now there's a like, well, it's not here. And I don't think it is gonna be right now or anytime exactly soon. And so maybe I do something that felt wild, something I would have not been on my plan, something that maybe felt wild is doesn't sound that wild anymore. I don't know why my brain went to like, I know a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I've known some people over the years who like say fuck it and they go to Alaska for the summer and they work, they make their money for the summer and then they go off. For me, when I'm not doing astrology, my work has been in television, and that industry has been totally upended this year. So, I think for folks who are feeling those industry impacts where they're not seeing the same growth and boom that there once were, for those people that have these like family plans or this like real estate plans or like these plans for building in this very Taurus way, because I think we hear a lot of building things with Capricorn, which Venus is in Capricorn. We'll talk about it. Um, a lot of people have, hear these building things with Capricorn, but I think Taurus, all earth signs are builders and they all want to see the literal material result for their hard work. And I think for Tauruses, for earth signs, if you have not been seeing that reward, that return, like a new plan time. We can't, I always, there's no offense to coal miners, but I always say, like, you don't want to be sitting around waiting for coal to come back because it's not coming back. And they keep telling them it's coming back and it's not coming back. So, what is your coal? What has been this thing you're like, it's going to come back. Then we're going to do this. And I think that's almost in a societal sense. And I'm talking very from an American perspective. I think everyone, I can't believe we're all still waiting for 2019 to come back when it's not coming back. We are in a new future. And a lot of it still looks like some stuff from 2019, but rest assured, it's not the same thing. So just from moon aspects alone, especially in Scorpio, back to the Scorpio, we're in Scorpio season. We're getting to the root of the problem. Scorpio digs deep. It's not going to stay on the surface. So I think too, whatever it is, maybe it's making some plans for next year, especially before Mercury retrograde starts on November 25th. And we're going to have Mercury retrograde until December 15th or 16th. I got to double check. There'll be a post about it. Don't worry. And I didn't even mention this part, this Pluto that is giving this trine. Let me zoom in here. I mean, 29 degrees, 55 minutes. Pluto's about to move into Aquarius on the 19th for our lifetime. We're done with Pluto and Capricorn for our living lifetime. It's not coming back. Oh my God. It's literally the phrase I just said. It's not coming back. And Neptune's going to be switching over to Aries too next year. It's not coming back. And Uranus is going to be switching to Gemini. It's not coming back. It's not coming back. Coal is done. They're going to keep telling people coal is here. Oh my God. No. And isn't that wild that that was also Kamala's catchphrase for like a minute and they got rid of it for some reason was we're not going back. We're not going back. And it's like, we're literally not going back. And how wild the people who won thing was going back. We're not going back. I know that. Spoiler alert, we're not going back. So that's why it's going to feel like a fight. And that's what people are fighting for, to go backwards or to go forwards. And honestly, the other party who lost wasn't really presenting much forward. They were presenting a lot of present. Wait, they were presenting what this moon thing was. Just wait it out. Wait, these things will return. We're building it slowly. And it's like, we need something now that is actually going to impact people and they're going to feel it immediately. And I think that was also the problem with a lot of the plans where they were these like 12-point systems to rebuild. It's like, no, when the opposition was saying, you will have more money. You, person listening to me, will have more money. They don't no explanation how or why. So I think too, if you've been waiting for some 12-point plan to unfold and it hasn't unfolded, I think the Taurus is so sturdy, but the Uranus is encouraging a little change, and not a little change. Uranus is change. Uranus is huge rock and change. So if there's just something you've always wanted to do, and next year is so weird, you guys, like I'll do a year ahead forecast. I just decided that the other day. Like so many outer planets are going into their, which I just mentioned, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all the people in this chat are going into their new signs and then they're going to retrograde back, except Pluto. Sorry, I misspoke there. Pluto will stay in Aquarius, but Uranus and Neptune, they're going to get a taste of their future and then they're going to go back. So I think if there's something, and maybe this is like reassuring to hear, like this newness or this alternative plan that you've been cooking up in the back of your brain doesn't have to be forever either. I think it's just going to be like what works best for you now, because since Taurus is an early sign, it's the second sign of the zodiac. It's still kind of baby, and it doesn't have to be this like permanent thing. But I think it's like more of like a permanent mindset change, if above anything. Okay. I mean, shit, I'm shook. I'm feeling that. Let's talk about Venus because she came up a bit. Oh, that is so juicy. The squares and the nodes. It's just adding more confirmation to the conversation. because the nodes is societal expectation when we have a square to the values that of what we're building. So you might hear from your family that this sounds crazy. I mean, what like it's rare, like family. I don't know. I don't know many people who have like, yeah, go take risks. Like I feel like a lot of parents are like, what? I would never have, but they're also from a totally different generation. But let's get into the Capricorn Venus symbology as well.